don't got that bougie yet. Someday we'll learn how not to automatically mute ourselves, and someday we'll make it where we have premium YouTube without ads. But for now, we will power through those ads because those are, what someone's monetizing, I guess. I don't really know where I'm going with that. So anyway, I want to go right back to the roots today, though. I want to get back into theories, think tanks, see where this space is going and where we want it to go, because I've been diving deep into, I guess, video game lore for the most part, for like the last week, when I was just kind of at home hanging out. And I found some cool stuff, and it got me thinking. I'm like, yo, there's like, this is going to sound kind of funny probably, but like there's a lot of pre-existing amazing video games out there that are all sources of inspiration and content development, and literally any one of them could become a plugin for a 3D asset that has the ability to interact within these ecosystems that they have all already created. We could, in theory, repurpose those games, that lore, and weave it into this beautifully epic universe and this storyline. And it's interesting because like we could all make our own storylines that almost incorporate those pieces of inspiration into them. And that to me was really an interesting concept. So I'm curious if anyone's doing that, if anyone knows of a project that's doing that, if Artifact's doing that, and if so, how can we support that, I guess, at the end of the day. And like, to me anyway, I got here because of gaming, and like just spending some time jumping through teleporters, slaying monsters on distant planets, and learning why they're there, right? Why I'm on this endless grind of levels. It was an interesting thought experiment, I would say, that I participated in for many, many hours yesterday, which is a fancy way of saying I played a lot of video games, but I was thinking about all these different things that whole time. So I kind of count it as market research, if you will. I'm curious what y'all's thoughts are on the ecosystem, on theories, on connecting dots, on things that maybe we haven't. Sorry, I thought I had like a terrible typo in the space title, but it looks perfect on my phone. It looks like a third grader wrote it on my computer. So maybe even a kindergartner. I don't know. Nothing against first or third graders, but yeah, it looks bad on the PC, really good on the phone. Also, my account's logged in on the PC, but it doesn't show up on the phone. So that's just something for Twitter to work on. That's outside of our discussion this evening. But I am curious what the people think this ecosystem could be building to, what we would want them to build to, and kind of what's out there to support these thoughts, these dreams, these hopes, these clonespiracies, if you will. And that's kind of where I wanted to guide this one tonight. My take on it, my thought, hopefully it's, not a bad take, is video games. Like, I want to see inventory loop it together. Like, I want to see this digital drip that we have the ability to wear impact our multipliers while we are hopefully, hibernating or incubating or raising animus in some way, shape, or form. And like, honestly, the term animus, it's been coming up a lot lately in just different shows that I've been watching, and it like makes me want to dive deeper into what the actual term means, which is, I think it's way deeper than like a little Pokemon or something. What up, Mayo? I see that wave. I'll tap it back. I think that animus is way deeper than like just a companion. I think it's like, I don't even know how to describe it yet. I have to deep dive in. I got to do that research on the term animus, but it's bigger than where we currently are. And I think that inventory will be a level up for the ecosystem to tie it all into something. I'm curious as to what that something will be. And that's where I kind of want to, talk with other people. So if people are open to coming up and speaking, that would be awesome. Um, I can and have spoken for many minutes solo. I've even pushed an hour before everyone. I'd prefer not to do that again. It's exhausting. What up, Tabby? GM.
Oh, it's not even
GM.
GM, dude.
It's
Like,
not morning.
I'm like, did you go somewhere across the world? You in Japan right now? What's going on? Australia? You on vacation? That's what happened. What's going on, everyone? Yeah, no, I figured I'd come up here and kind of save you from talking for an hour by yourself. Actually, I was thinking about there's, I don't know if I can pin it. There's a couple of things that I saw this week that made me kind of started thinking a little bit more about where this could all be going. And I think the inventory app actually is an interesting one, right? Or whether it's an app or um, whichever way they end up rolling it out, I feel like that could be an easy way to tie it all back together. And what I mean by that, right? So, marketplaces right now, this is me kind of going on a tangent, looking for breadcrumbs where they may or may not be. But you think about what's going on with OpenSea, with Blur, and all of the different platforms right now, fighting over uh, royalties, no royalties, all that fun stuff. And then you think about, and I'll get to my point here shortly, but then you think about what Apple has done, right, with their kind of walled garden, but then they're letting people in, and people can create new apps and different things in exchange within the App Store, the Apple Store. And I feel like maybe potentially Artifact may be building the same thing with the inventory app, right? We know with the vials that when those were rolled out, the idea was for more collaborations down the road, right? And that you could have different creators and create their own vials and potentially sell them. We've talked about creators creating clothes like Kreia, for example, and what he's rolling out now with season two. And he just posted today a picture that has Aether on it, and I was trying to go and pin it, but I don't think I can right now. Oh no, I can. There you go. I just pinned it to the top. Um, so I think ultimately this new inventory app that we know they're working on and they're going to roll out, I feel like that would be a way to kind of tie it all back together where not only are you able to wear and use things that Artifact specifically is dropping, but also anything that other collections, whether it's Kreia, whether it's Clone Force or whoever is creating stuff. Like we saw weapons from Clone Force, we're seeing a bunch of other stuff that are coming together. I feel like that becomes ultimately at the end of the day um, the call it meeting place for everything Artifact, where people can buy and sell safely. And we know that I think what's his name, Samuel, has been talking about safety and pushing that message, over and over and over, and talking about all the stuff he's excited about. So I feel like all of that culminates into that inventory app as a centerpiece then that allows everything to either be bought or sold in a safe manner and people to connect, maybe even outside of Twitter. So yeah, that's what I got right now. But that's like some of the stuff I've been seeing, and like I said, like little signs here and there, and even just thinking like bigger picture with what's going on with the different marketplaces. And I feel like, well, we know Artifact's been working on their own little marketplace for a while, and I think it makes it even more relevant now than ever, right? And so rolling this out in a comprehensive way, I think, is going to be key. Um, and then if you want to go one step further, and you want to loop in your loot pod and space pods and all those different things, we know that increasingly one of the features that those have, that maybe we're not talking about, is the ability to link your own website to those pods. So if you think about that again, taking it a step further, you may use the inventory app, or you may use your own website to start selling stuff and just playing it in your loot pod and space pod. So again, those are all functionalities that are maybe not being talked about a ton, but they are there today and can be utilized to take it a step further and making your pod a storefront if you really wanted to. Um, so just some thoughts. I think I'll pause here.
So you're telling me, Tevi, that our pods have the ability to link to a website, so it could actually work like a digital storefront?
Yeah. Yes, you can. I don't have a website to link to, but when you go in and you can either add videos through YouTube. So that's one of the things I did, right? Like I went in and linked up a bunch of my YouTube videos and created a floor dedicated to it. But then one of the options on Cyber is to link an actual website. So you could put in the URL for your website. And I don't have personally, I don't have a website, but for you, for example, in the Clonespiracy page, once your website is up and running, right, and you've been talking about how do you gather all that feedback and everything, that could be an integration that you could be working on, is linking that to your Exopod or Spacepod or whichever one that you have. And that would be a place for people to, one, come and maybe have instead of like a Twitter space, or you could stream the Twitter space through there. And then people and then point them to, hey, click here and you can go to the website and, one, provide feedback on how the space went. Two, whatever topic you're talking about, again, you can expand on the questionnaire or whatever, and people can go and answer that kind of like real time almost, if you think about it. But yeah, that functionality is there. So I thought that was pretty cool when I was playing around in there. But I don't have a cool website to link to it yet. So for me, at this point, it's not necessarily relevant, but I know for others who have websites, like somebody like Johnny, right, that maybe could be something that he's using. I don't know. Or could be using. I don't think he's using it right now. I'm not saying he is, but could be.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, I love that. It's interesting because the part that's taking all of this time on the website is really the integration of people and making people getting that system functioning. That is the hardest part, is getting the groundwork laid to actually be able to support multiple accounts and record information and display information so that it can be tracked and trend appropriately. um, I should say, Gem has made an awesome landing page and an awesome page that highlights theories and threads from both the Clonespiracy's account and our community throughout 2022. We sat down and we picked out, like, I don't know, 40 threads or something. We just put them and we broke them up by quarter. I love it. I might have just said too much. I don't know. It's kind of like, how much do you share on this stuff? So anyway, that is in function. Continuing to work on it. I want to roll it out, with the baseline functionality of I don't even know. I'm just going to call it Alpha X, and we'll go from there. That will be the usable, interactable element, aside from other fun nuggets like the Add Mayo face filter challenge, the Add Mayo challenge. He participated heavily in said challenge, loved it. I want to throw a quick shout out to Green Tea with that fire dot swoosh Valhalla PFP. I saw that thing the other day, dude, and I was like, yo, this slaps with the Juju edit LFG. Anyway, Compound, dude, welcome. What's on your mind? What are you thinking? What visions of the future have you had, my friend? My angelic friend.
What is up, guys? I'm driving back from the gym right now, so I might not have the best service, but I wanted to hop up here and say hi to you and Tevi. Dude, honestly, in the short term, I'm really looking forward to just interoperable file formats, right? Like, not specifically speculating on like a game that be coming from Artifact or anybody specifically, but just file formats that can work within games that are already here, right? Your Grand Theft Autos, your Fortnites, your your other side that's coming. You know what I mean? Like I don't, or even metaverses that are coming. So I think on this topic specifically, that's more so what I'm excited for is Artifact kind of putting in the work to help us get those different type of file formats ready, man. Honestly, in the short term, right? So, if you go out of like a long term vision, having those things in place now and having those assets ready to go now, a lot of other projects and a lot of other things in Web3 are going to be playing catch up, right? Like all these other projects are going to see, oh dang, you know, the world is moving into a 3D kind of world. These games, everything's in 3D. Like we better get files to some of our users so they can use them in these different metaverses and these games. So they're going to be playing catch up. So kind of like a bull case for me on like Artifact with 3D files and everything specifically. But what's up, guys? Trying to get here safe. I'm gonna go on listening mode. When I get to the house, I'll pop back in.
Yeah, drive safe, man. And thanks for dropping in. Hey, that actually what you said got me thinking about a post that I saw earlier today when I was on lunch from Yarlin, and he was asking specifically about that, right? What does the community want to see? And people were talking about, different file formats, interoperability, and that. And I'll see maybe if I can find that too and pin it to the top. But they're clearly thinking about that stuff, and I feel like again, Artifact to me seems like they're yeah, definitely quieter now, but it's moving with purpose. um and like whether it's Yarlin or Sam, like I said, if you spend a little bit of time and see what they've been kind of dropping out there, like little hints here and there, it feels like, and I don't want to like get everybody like moving on opium and getting super pumped. That's just how I feel about it, and kind of how I'm putting two and two together, based on how they've been just kind of taking their time and just a little bit of the stuff I've heard here and there. But you can see that the wheels are turning for sure, and they're it's coming together. So I will find that post so that's not just me talking, and you can actually see that, yeah, it's based on something specific here. So give me 1 second and I'll pin it to the top.
Tabby, I got it pinned. I took care of that as you were going for it.
Thank you.
Prez, so you were talking about what we can do in these things, and Prez is actually streaming the Twitter space to his loot pod or space pod. Prez, what kind of ship are we in, bro? I'm walking around in here. It got levels. I haven't been in here in a minute. But like, dude, you got a sneaker collection, bro. I don't know if you just found those files or if those are yours, but that is fire. You got the video behind it. Y'all, you should check it out. I think I pinned it to the top here. If you're sitting at your computer, it's easy to click on, run around the pod. You can even listen to the space from the pod, I think, but I don't have speakers going on right now because I'm talking into my phone. But this is pretty neat. I definitely am impressed. We got Sky in here too. It's like we can get avatars into these pods to participate in Twitter spaces, to work on websites, to investigate other aspects of what each individual person's actually doing in this ecosystem. And that is what is super exciting in the immediate term. And I think as a community, we can do a really great job about using these features, and sharing honestly the features that we love, the features that we like, the features that we don't like, and the features that are terrible, because it's like, from like we should have an experience that kicks ass. And honestly, the on-cyber experience is pretty great. I haven't spent a lot of time in it, but I think as we continue to do things as a community and we spend time in these pods, and like, I can see the space streaming on the wall right now on CloneX Radio space pod, or am I in an echo pod? I don't know. It got floors. Man's living large in here is what I can say. So it's just fun. Like, I feel like we as a community, we should continue to use these tools that we have to play with them, to mold them into what we want them to become. And I think that we can do that as the technology progresses, and as we continue to explore this ecosystem because, y'all, we got 29 years until actual 2052. So these little pieces that are coming back in time, they're going to keep doing so in a way. Like, Prez, dude, did you make that render of your clone moving and doing all that? Because that's dope too. I love the whole CloneX radio vibe. I think it's sick. For the record, I encourage really everyone to come on in here, check it out. There's 4 of us in here right now, which is pretty neat. I'm wondering how heavily we can load it, and like the Easter egg of the night is that artifact slide with Yarlin Prez's spaceship paying homage to Akira, the motorcycle slide. I think that's epic. Prez, you did a fantastic job in this space pod or loot pod or echo pod. I don't know which one it is. Maybe it's a looty.
It is a loot. It is the loot pod. Yeah, I'm in here right now. This is pretty dope, actually. First time in. I should actually connect with my wallet. So, but yeah, I'm in here right now. It is pretty cool. Oh, you've got some dope clones. Ooh, you have like all the vials. This is kind of crazy.
That's what I was wondering. Did he rip that, or does he have the full set?
Sounds
No
like
fall damage. This is good.
he's like, I'm not coming up. I'm just gonna keep y'all guessing.
He's like, yeah, y'all can theorize on if I rip those or not. I love it though. I mean, I think it's fun, and like this is again, this is a community member putting on a service to really grow the ecosystem. And if you don't know Prez, apparently he's amazing in Discord, and he welcomes new members constantly. So huge thank you to Prez if you're listening, or if you're just streaming and multitasking. I understand. Oh yeah, he's typing in the chat. He says he's glad we are enjoying it. Yeah, dude, we love it. So I would encourage really everyone in the space, feel free to request. Come on up, jump in Prez's CloneX Radio Looty. And if you don't know what a Looty is, you about to. Ilan just joined. Dude, check it out. This is pretty hype. It's just cool that we can, I guess, connect in that way while we're on a Twitter space. And like, this is a 3D model walking around a space, an interactable space with other people across the entire world, being able to participate really in like a nice space. So if you think about the basics of what this lays out, it's pretty exciting. I love it. And like, I was talking about gaming earlier, and it's like we have the building blocks more or less to create a really cool game that has actual, use cases for these digital collectibles that we collect. And like, we can do a lot of interesting stuff with them. And once we get files that pop in, like the Rect guy is dope. I love it. I love that On Cyber chose that as the base digital avatar, because there's nothing basic about this avatar. Like, this thing could become like an ultimate flex in 20 years when people are like, what is that? It's like a RuneScape party hat. You got the Rect guy avatar. It's huge, right? Like, I'm talking a lot. I don't really know. This is a space that you are welcome to come up. Just hit request. If you've never been on a space, it's safe. It's not recorded. No one will know unless you're here. Then you'll know. That's kind of the whole thing. So I'm curious though, like, where do you, as active participants of the artifact ecosystem, think that this space should go? Because that really is the glue that binds a lot of us here, is the hope and the dream of what we think this ecosystem can become, where we are today, where we're going, where we've been. And I think that those discussions, they frame perfectly around an educational content as well. So if you don't have a theory, but you've been wondering, like, yo, what is the Monolith X? Come on up, ask about its history. That's about all we know. We don't know much more about it other than it's a mysterious object that appeared in a wormhole portal and appeared in wallets at a time in December. So it's just like, like there's a lot of different parts and pieces to the ecosystem, but always open to answering questions, to discussing theories, to figuring out where y'all think this space will go, because I think it's anybody's guess at this point. And I think that we, the people, are the people that can build this space into what we think it can become, what we want it to become. And that's maybe where I'll give it a pregnant pause. And Tevi, if it gets too pregnant, uh, save me. But let's see how pregnant we can make it. Am I
Yeah.
allowed to use the term pregnant like that, Tevi?
You can do whatever. This is your space. I was actually, I'm in the pod now. I was trying to type and stuff when you're like, hey, save me. I don't know, man. Like I think, the more I look at these pods and the more time I spend in here, like, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of potential, and I keep going back to the various functionalities that on cyber keeps adding in, right? And obviously they're not doing that in a vacuum. They're talking with the artifact team, they're talking with the other communities out there that they're supporting, right? So on cyber is not just working with artifact, they're actually working with many other collections. It feels like almost everyone who's somebody in NFT world, um, if their collection is popping, they have an on cyber space, right? And so I feel like the various features that have been rolled out on Cyber over the last, I don't know, 6 months, maybe, yeah, probably, I want to say 6 months, from just the original, just kind of being here to now you have avatars, like you mentioned, the red guy, right? That is the base avatar, but they've already communicated and said that eventually, and the goal is to be able to come in here with whatever you want, right? Whatever collection you have, be your own avatar, and run around in here. And you can already see people taking advantage of that, and having little parties in here, and doing like viewing parties for whatever video release they had. I think Orbis actually had his I think during the space that he was having with Cass on his birthday, they played it in the pod. So you're kind of starting to see all that functionality come together, and people really taking advantage of it. Like I said, if you have one of these, I wouldn't, and even like the free spaces that you can go onto on cyber and download and play the galleries, and like just go see what they have and what the various spaces can do. Like obviously we're fortunate that we have these space pods and loot pods and the exopod and all that stuff, but there's a lot more functionality being built in by the on cyber team, and just like one thing that I'm excited about. The other piece too is the various portals, right? So we talk about connectivity, interoperability, connecting the metaverse, right, and how big that is. And here you have, it's funny because like when they dropped these new pods, they're like, oh, where's the utility? Where's the utility? I'm like, well, whether you realize it or not, you're able to connect almost an endless chain of metaverses and pods that people can connect to and fly to, and kind of build this massive ecosystem as it is today, right? So if everybody in this space today had a space pod, or even any of the other um, spaces that on cyber has, we could connect them all and go on this nice little adventure in a metaverse, right? So there's a lot there that, right now, if you're not quite sure how to use it, then yeah, maybe it doesn't sound as cool. But when you stop and think about possibilities, how you can, again, now you can upload. Oh, there's people dancing in here. Are they twerking? What is this? Anyways, I got distracted. I'm in Prez's pod right now, and there's like these avatars are like dancing, and I feel like I should see if there's music. Go on this nice new adventure. Oh, I'm listening to myself. I'm gonna turn that off. That's weird.
Tevy, they got a Rimowa room in here too. You can like go into the Rimowa WorkerBot factory. It kind of forces you to connect your MetaMask, but like I don't know how to do that. But it's pretty cool.
But yeah, so I guess the point that I'm making is like there is a lot of utility and functionality built into these pods today. If you're somebody who has a business or somebody who wants to show off your, like if you're an artist and you want to show off your collection and you want people to be able to link to OpenSea, like you can literally click on the avatar, go to OpenSea, and you could buy that art piece. If you want to link your website, you can do that today. Like this is not a 2052 deal. It's like right now. There's a lot of ways to use this stuff, right? And then now if you want to, now this is speculation here, so warning, if you want to think about then like the other metaverses, so like the sandbox and all these other metaverses, eventually you could potentially interoperate with those, right? And so from your pods, you could go there, you can jump there and connect that way. So when we start thinking about gaming, and the post that Yarlin had with, like, hey, I think, I don't know who said it would be dope if we could have like the VRM files and all that stuff. Now you're talking about streaming gaming. You're talking about potentially like taking your clone and putting them into different game environment like Unreal 5. And I think like the possibilities are endless, really. And that's even before we start talking about, the different collections and creators collaborating and different clothing and things that people are creating. And so I don't know. I feel like there is so much that's being worked on. And I think you actually made the comment earlier. It's like, yeah, we don't really know where we're going. I would argue that we actually have, at least I see the vision of like how this all could play out. And that's with just the stuff we have today, right? Like how these various assets could be used and be monetized to some extent. So, I think it's there. It'd be cool to have like exactly what Artifact, how they see it. But I definitely see a path today to how all this could be very valuable or is very valuable for people who are in the clone community and own clones. But that was a lot of me talking. So like you have to take it up or count or somebody else can jump on.
No, it was great. It's like I want to better understand, where we are right now and then use that information to baseline where we are headed. And I think that you bring up a good point. We have a lot of good information right now, and I think it warrants the triple check, the let's look back at it, because it has been a number of months, probably 5 months since the inventory teaser was dropped. And it's like, that's got to be doing something at this point. Like they're definitely working on it still. And what I'm wondering is, like how could that interact with a space like the Looties and the Spacies, and these displays and these gatherings that we could have in pods. And it's like, if inventory gives you the ability to walk around as a customized clone in an on cyberspace, that would be pretty cool. And I understand how that would take an immense amount of effort to get all of these different traits into formats such that they can be put into a system like on cyber at scale. It's pretty neat. And now we got a dance party going on in here, so that's pretty great. I'm starting to understand.
I figured out how to dance, so I'm dancing right now. Just saying. See, this is cool.
Dance party. Yeah, it is. It's fun. So like, I like the on cyber spaces. I think the pods are a great asset to utilize in this ecosystem, because we need a place to gather. And it's like, as our homes, as our pods that we gather in, as we fly through space, linking to portals, continue to progress, I think it's only going to get better, more interoperable, more customizable. And that really is kind of the beginning, like that lays that baseline for us to then take on the next endeavor. And what I'm wondering really from this group, and if you're down below, like, feel free to request, honestly, like, this is very open, probably too open. I don't want to sound too available right now, but I'm pretty available. Funny inside joke that probably only two of us understand, but that's okay. Yeah, was just leaving that pause there for dramatic effect, Heavy. I didn't think I should go any longer because it would probably have been awkward.
That's pretty funny. I can just put a soundboard in here. Does this change my voice? I'm like, wait.
I guess you sound a little bit echoey.
What about now? Is
If
that weird? Okay, what if? How does it work? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I feel like I'm going back to 2019 Teams calls.
I should not be playing with a soundboard while I'm doing this. Don't mind me. No one wants to request, so it's just awkward now, as I'm like discovering all of the different features that spaces have once you're like you're able to speak. So I have way too many things going on. Like I'm in the pod, I'm playing with the stuff on here. But yeah, so that's what's going on.
I come into Prez's pod for like every like Bad Take episode and Clonespiracy, and I'm in here by myself every time. It says there's 8 other people in here, but I can't see anybody. Like the first couple times I went in, I could see people, but I think one of my settings is off, to be honest. Like I have.
Did you select multiplayer?
Yeah, I'm on multiplayer, man, and maybe I just need to log out, log back in or something, but it says like on the little chat thing, it says no, it's not Prez. It's my side.
I see cooking. Okay. There's Element Being is in here too.
Maybe I'm just gonna go. But I join each night like for spaces and stuff, and my settings I never have time to get set. So while you guys are in here, I was like, oh, I gotta go in there and maybe see if they know anything about these settings.
There's Sunshine Sky. Yeah, you're not in here. Oh wait, no, there's another guy in here. Is that you?
Here, I'm gonna log back. I'm gonna log out and then log back in.
Are you like looking at the exopod door right now? There's somebody here with like just numbers.
No, I logged out, and then I'm gonna
Compound. Have you turned your computer off and then on?
Dude, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know the last time I turned off my computer. So I mean, we might have the issue. That might be the issue. Like,
bro, just call me IT. My billing rate is acceptable and priced at a competitively positive net value for you.
A competitively positive. All right, hold on. Let me try this again. It used to work for me a lot, dude. And I used to go in there into all pods, but now anytime I go into any pod, I know it's my settings because everybody's always having a good time recently. And I'm like, see, I see 7 other people in here in the chat. Tell me if you guys see my message. I see 7 people in the chat, but like no actual physical people. Oh, I see Prez's compound loads in with his name and wallet. All right, I see you, Prez.
Yeah, you have to be in multiplayer. So maybe like while you're trying to figure that out, the other thing I was actually thinking about, and I think would be cool to talk about maybe a little bit, is we're getting closer to like end of Q1, right? Which means that some of the gear. Oh, I see you, Compound. You're here. Do you see me? You're like I'm literally right in front of you.
No, I don't see you.
Yeah, you're just standing there like lost.
I am lost.
You do this just bothering. But anyways, season 1 clothing. Like I feel like that's probably right around the corner. And I don't know if everybody in here did mint or forge or did not forge. But that's something to get excited about, I feel like.
Yeah.
I know I'm excited about it.
I didn't forge any clothing, but I did buy. Me and Shauna bought two Murakami drip Air Force Ones today, and we have bids open on the Angel Air Force Ones. If anybody down there wants to capitulate into my bids, please do. You'll see them; they're the top bids. It says "Little Shaw the Demon." Capitulate your Angel shoes right onto my feet, please. Thank you.
I'm literally waiting for a reptile. That's what I've been that I'm looking to get. No one has accepted my offer yet, so I'm waiting. But I'm likely gonna start offering people stuff again. So if you have a
Compound.
reptile, you should do
Compound.
it.
Compound. Try walking a little bit into the space or into the Ludi.
So what?
Dude, I'm staring at his.
What are you
go ahead,
guys wanting for Air Force One? Yeah, because I'm not going to do the loot thing, but I got lots and lots of season 1.
Do you have reptiles?
You cut out. What was that?
Do you have the reptile?
Oh, I do not. I wish. But I don't.
That's the one I've been trying to get, but no one is taking my lowball offers, which is fair. I mean, I probably wouldn't take my own lowball offer, to be honest.
I do have Murakami drip, though. I got a lot of Murakami drip stuff.
Yeah, I got a couple of those. I got one for myself and one for my daughter.
Nice.
Even though I don't know that I should give it to her. Now that I think about it, I feel like I should just keep it for myself. But I'll be good. I'll be a good dad.
Yeah, I got none of those. But I mean, season 1 was Q1. So I feel like we should get an update on that semi-soon so we can kind of know when that stuff's going to arrive. And maybe it's going to roll out with timing on inventory. Maybe that was the original goal, but it's no longer realistic. I have no idea. All I know is we got a lot of stuff in the irons in the fire. But I do think that, delivering on that stuff and continuing is within the short term. That is a very realistic short term goal. And that's where I'm kind of like, can we use this stuff that we customize on our clones, on our avatars as our digital identities? Will we be able to use those in an on-cyber interactable space? That's kind of what I'm wondering. Kind of like, do you guys see that happening, or what do you think?
No, I totally think it will. Again, if we go back to, if you want to actually pull up, Yarlin's post, a couple of responses below. All right, so I think this is where it says, let me find it, and I'll pin it to the top, but he's responding to Yobs, and I think he said, we've been talking about this internally. A strong standardized rig that works on all clones opens up so many cool possibilities, shared animations, emote, plus a socket system that could allow community brands to easily skin their virtual drip and have it work across the board. Lots of exciting things with this one. Thanks for your feedback. So I'm going to pin that so anybody can go and read it. But yeah, that kind of goes back to my point earlier of like a lot of this stuff, like all the things we're thinking about, not all, a lot of the things, I'm going to scale back and make it a more accurate statement. A lot of the stuff we've been talking about in here or in other spaces, the team clearly either already had it in mind and they've been working on it, or they're starting to incorporate this into where they're going. And I do truly believe that when they start announcing stuff, right? Like I think the idea really here is to drop things in bulk, and it might not be everything that we want, or we're hoping for, but they're working on the next thing, right? And kind of bringing all that stuff out. So it's definitely in the card, and you see like Yarlin and some of the other team members drop those hints of what they're working on, and I think they're actually doing that on purpose, right? Because if you're curious about the ecosystem and you're like super interested in where they're going and in between announcements, I think that's kind of maybe their way of dropping those little hints to the community. And for those of us who are like looking for any kind of information, to either reaffirm that this is the right place for us, or realize that is this still why we're in the ecosystem. So I saw his post today and I was like just blown away. Obviously I don't expect that it's going to roll out tomorrow or anything, but the simple fact that that's what they're thinking about and what they're working on and seeking feedback and input from what people want to see, I think is super bullish in my mind. So yeah, I think, and then link that back to clone tools, right? And what they're doing, working on there. Eventually when it I don't even know if it's rolled out to everyone, or if it's just the creators that currently have it. And arguably, I probably should have spent a little bit more time playing with it, but I haven't had the time to. But all that, I think, is, again, building together to making it easier for everyone to use things and just take full advantage of the clones, the files, and the various tools that make it easy for everyone to participate. And maybe the last thing I will say, and then I'll turn it back to you, is I know that it feels like forever, but the reality is it's only been 1 year, right, since Mint. And there's like so much in the pipeline already. And I think it was Baron, if I remember correctly, who said, like, yeah, the team really doesn't have to do much this year if you really think about it. They just have to deliver on everything that they rolled out last year, which is a ton and keeps you going for another full year while they're working on the next things that we don't even know about right now. So yeah, it's big. And maybe the other thing you should pin to the top so people can see that if they've missed it is, I think Benoit posted or tweeted earlier this week about how he sees things. So let me find that. I'm going to go on listen, and I'm going to find it and it.
Danette, I know you've been watching. What are your thoughts, and where do you think we could be heading? I always enjoy your takes on these things.
You mean the whole ecosystem? Yeah, it's been interesting to watch. I haven't dove too deep into the pods though. I know that the new ones came out, and I have some pods. I was trying to figure out if I should do the 2x2 or not. And I know you guys are working on the 20x20, right? So that's interesting. It's just trying to figure out what the trajectory is, because there's so, like you said, there's so many irons in the fire. Like, well, which makes sense to go first, and just sort of playing a waiting game a little bit.
And I think the 20x20 is on a subtle hold, as we don't know, what it does per se, and how, if it does anything, how that might impact having however many people involved in one single digital collectible, if that would do anything. And that probably is the main barrier to really wanting to push much harder. We're at a casual maybe 6x6 at this point. If I had to just pick a number in my head of total approximate pods that we have verbal commitments, I guess, on out of that 20x20, but it's tough for me to want to push that much harder, if at all, because I don't really know how it could impact things down the road. So it's like, I think, having Prez and CloneX Radio streaming spaces in his loot pod is about as epic as it gets. And if I can drop a skin on Prez's loot pod, that could be a fun thing. Prez, here's an idea, dude. what if you had loot pod skins for the different spaces that you're streaming on CloneX Radio? That could be interesting, bro. Total immersion. I have no idea how to make that happen. I would love to dive in and try and figure it out. It's just on the list of many other things trying to figure out. So, but I do think custom space pod or loot pod skins for streamed events would be a really fun, way to really tie it all together. And displaying community drip inside of these pods, also an awesome way to just kind of unite everything. And like you have your own renders in here, which are epic. Your renders are great. Your animation's silky smooth. Robot making moves, looking good. So, but I hear you, Danette. Definitely agree and understand that there's quite a bit, and it will be interesting to see how it all pulls together for sure. What up, Baron?
What up?
My green reptilian
What
friend.
up, Jack? Jack boy. Fucking love that name. So I just think it's cool what's going on. I mean, now we're looking for a photographer in Miami, dude. I don't know what they're shooting down there, but I'll be looking forward to seeing what pictures are taken in Miami. You know what I mean? There's things going on. The fact that I can't remember who it was. Art Yarlin reached out to the Web3 today asking for some input on. I didn't read the whole tweet, but the fact I didn't even care. I was like, he's asking for input. There's gonna be people there that are gonna give it to him. But clearly they're ready for input. That's a big deal. I think we were playing catch up for a while, and them coming out and saying, "Hey, what do you guys think? What do you guys want to have here?" Is a good thing. I think we spent a lot of last year testing mints for Nike, and which is fine. It could have been for us too. It probably was, but I think that we get to focus on the core artifact ecosystem this year, and that excites me. It was clearly there was a big push for what Dot Swoosh was doing, and in my opinion, and I think that took some of their attention from where they were before to where they needed to be. Based on helping their parent company. You know what I mean? So when duty calls, that's what happens, and I'm okay with that. Love what's going on with other Web3 companies trying to put the IP bottle genie back in the bottle. I'm glad that our genie started in the bottle and is still there. I think that putting a genie back in the bottle has always proved to be a very, very hard process. And what you're seeing happening with the BAKC logo and them just coming after people that have worked with the logo before, and now they're saying it's not kosher anymore. It's not like I'm wishing poorly on other projects, but I think that as Shekinah put it so well in the space that I heard before was, you're seeing the companies that have now are owned or integrating into Web 2 have to comply with Web 2 IP standards and processes, and those will slow those projects down. That's natural for bigger companies, but it also require that they get more tight on certain things that they weren't tight on before. And that's going to be, a process for them. And I think that it makes clone holders feel better about the fact that we're not as unique as we felt, with our IP treatment. And it's pretty simple. And like I've said before, that, as long as you're using your clone and your IP that comes with it for good purposes and in good standing, there should be no concerns. And I think that the clarity we've gotten on IP seems to be a lot clearer than the IP clarity everybody else got, which was just, it's changing. And that would be we couldn't handle that at this point. So I think I'm really happy about that. No, I just thought I'd touch base and say hi and, let you guys know I care. I love Jack, dude.
I love Lamp. That's all I could think, Baron. Appreciate those words. Tevi, the president tells me to tell you to turn your voice thingies off and not to play with that button anymore because you got all messed up on the stream. So just a note to the wise, don't do that.
Don't touch that button.
Yeah, I'm not going to touch it ever again until I figure it out. Maybe I'll have a space with myself, and then I can figure it out. And next time I come in, I can have like different voices. Because I saw the voice button, I was like, oh, can I change my voice to like a robot or something and make it super cool? I think it's cool, anyways. And then it didn't quite work out. So I will not be touching that button for a while. But it's there, it's staring at me. It's like, press me. So
Tevy, you want some alpha? You
yes.
need to zoom in on your PFP a little bit so you don't look so small next to Compound and I. Like Anya's got her zoomed in perfectly. Your scale is just a little off.
Why are you
Especially
so
for a
far
man of
back,
your
Tevy?
stature. Dude, Tevy's like a big guy. Like, so funny when you see like somebody get doxxed and he did it himself, but like it's just awesome, man. I'm like, damn, dude. Tevy.
Baron, you zoomed your PFP in
I
slightly
didn't know that was
closer.
You think
yeah.
I should do it even closer?
Dude, me and Tevy are the same size. I don't know what you mean.
Dude, you're big too then, man. I'm
No, I
like,
meant our PFPs.
no, it's not.
Don't talk about our
No, it's
real
not.
in real life. We're avatars right now.
Look how little he is. Little
It's because
baby
I have the
robot.
halo up there.
Baron,
Yeah.
this is just reminding me of that time. But yeah, dude, your PFP is definitely zoomed in more than Tevy's or Compound's, bro. That's why I'm just a single eyeball.
Yeah. Oh, dude, that's a good idea.
Well, we're gonna have the reptilian eyeball like fully zoomed in. That would be cool, actually. If you zoomed your PFP all the way in just to the eye, Baron, I feel like that could
Okay.
be super cool.
Yo, for comp, for the people that don't go over to Bad Take, just a brief commentary on how the Utah CloneX event went, meaning like it's put together by the people that are in the area, and then Artifact goes out and looks for, you guys can apply to get some reimbursement from them. Is there anything like that people should know about as they're planning, or is there other people that were involved with that if people from other cities see it and they want to do it, like who they should talk to? I don't want you to go into the whole trip, but just a brief snippet of what somebody could be doing to help. In fact, but maybe your space is starting, so I don't know. I don't want to put you on the spot. You keep throwing the open mouth at me.
Oh, I just do that to confuse you while you talk. That's the only reason.
It works a lot.
I have a buddy who does this the whole time someone's talking, and like even if they're saying really good stuff, he just goes like this the whole time. I love
So
it. Sorry,
good. I
excuse my
was doing
language.
it with him the other night. I just jumped
Yeah,
on the
and he
bandwagon.
does it while he's talking too, so he'll just sit here like this. So, anyways, dude, I actually didn't help plan Utah at all. I went and it was just amazingly planned out already. I did like what I could and offered what I could, but Anya, Cass, Jace, Clegg, and the arch nemesis, Igori, the Utah crew really did plan all of it and like threw down. I think that to answer your question, I think if you have an idea and you think it's a good idea and it's good for the community, I think you start by presenting it to one of the community managers, talk with them. And then they can kind of, let you know the next steps that you would need to do. I think Artifact's all for supporting community events, and they've shown that so far. And so, yeah, if you have a good idea, reach out to one of the community managers, let them know what you're thinking, and they can point you in the right direction and even give you a hand.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
super
that's the
helpful.
way to go.
Yeah, that's super helpful because I don't think the smaller events are freaking awesome. I've been lucky enough to take a part of them, and it's just the connections that you make there and how it's just so unique. I think to other projects, I could see it just. I could see people that like just love to travel being a clone just because of the ability to have all these IRL meetups in small like groups that are really like tailored to, and then you could travel like around and like I just was thinking about it today. I'm like, dude, you could travel around the country and just have these little events be kind of your drop off points along the way. It's really dope.
No, yeah, man. And you seem like you travel a lot, dude. You were in Utah twice in the last month.
Well, I love to
Um,
travel.
so every CloneX event that I've gone to so far has been an amazing experience, and I plan to go to as many as I can that are within reach. So I think CloneX LA has something cool coming up next month for an FTLA around that week. and they're planning some cool stuff. So I'll be up there. I live in San Diego, so that's an easy one for me to reach. So yeah, I'll be there for the majority of that week.
Isn't NFT Paris like this week?
Oh yeah, man.
So that should
I'm
be,
sure they have
dude,
something going on there too.
yeah, dude. We're gonna
I'm
see
gonna
some
get
heat.
FOMO there.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, it's like it'll be cool to see what, if
We
anything,
have
comes out of that. I'm not
premium
going to get
YouTube
too overly
without
hyped,
ads,
but
but for now,
I don't know.
power through
Just seems
those.
like an interesting time. NFT Paris.
Yeah, I mean this is Clonespiracy and kind of clone related. I could share a like kind of little recap video that Lil Shaw the Demon did for the Utah trip, Jack, if that's cool. I put it at the top or in the comments or something. But I think people are also working on some other recap videos. But the cool thing about it is it showcases that Artifact as a community, like they do stuff like a lot of other projects. So we were out on Saturday, and Clegg like turns to me and he goes, "Man, I don't know of any other NFT projects that are here for NBA All Star Weekend. Like, there's no other projects doing this." And I was like, "Yeah, I haven't seen any other projects. We're the only one." He goes, and I was like, "I think that's kind of amazing that we can, really throw down for Web3 events, but we also are doing these Web2 events too." And he was like, "Yeah, that was my goal. That was my plan, is to kind of do Web2 stuff as well, because you're never on board if you're only doing Web3 stuff, right? You'll never spread the brand." And like on Saturday, the event that Artifact held, like Artifact branding was everywhere. Like projections when you walked in the building was all of the clones, Artifact branding. And then inside the building, all the walls had like the Blade logos all over the walls. And then we all had our hoodies on. And this was the NBA All Star Game after party. So there's Artifact Blades in this Web2 event, and we're wearing the hoodies. So now like people are talking to us. Like I had 3 people offer me like $1,000 for the hoodie on my back. Like, "Hey, I'll buy it right now. Give me your hoodie." And it was my one that fits me like really well. Like it's like a large, and I have it connected on the blockchain. I was like, "No, bro, I'm not selling this hoodie." Like, but it was cool, man, because they saw the branding on the wall when we walked up, like when you walked into the venue, and then inside Artifact Blades everywhere. And then we're all like repping Artifact in there, and they had like a VIP section for all of us inside the venue. So it was a pretty cool experience. A lot of people, we were able to kind of like teach a lot of people about what Artifact was, what we were doing. Yeah, man, it was fun.
So one of the things that I saw that was really cool too was like Sonoma and like all these other like creators from the clone community got to show off their stuff. Like that's what Artifact wanted on display, was not like, it was, they wanted self-created renders and stuff like that, is the way that I was understood it, which is so dope. It's like they're not like, every other project would want to take all the kudos for themselves every single time, especially when dollars are involved. And then AM Band's got his clones all over the place, just, and anybody that wanted to put their clones up there. So that's just super dope. This is the way that I understood it. From what I saw, that's what it was. And Murder, sorry, Cook, I'm gonna do your job. Murder, what's up?
Yo, bro, keep going, bro. I'm put my I'm on wait, bro. I'm good. Thank you. I appreciate that very much.
Love you, homie. No, I just was. It was. I just love to see it, and that's what, when I saw Clegg in Miami, that's what he said to me too. That's what they want to do, smaller events and more curated, and the community gets to put them together, and like it's just really really cool, and it brings a whole nother facet to this, let's just call it relationship, family that we have.
Yeah, man, it was a fun event, dude. And dude, even on the slopes, we're all on the slopes, and we had a table like at the bottom of the ski slopes, and there were like people that were asking us, and so we got a chance to kind of like talk about it. And we're all wearing our Artifact gear, and I think it'll start to click with people, right? We're all really early to this whole space in general, but kind of Artifact and what Artifact's doing, we're early as well. And when you kind of start explaining it to people, they go, "Oh, wow." And then you have like the AR hoodie to show them kind of like augmented reality fashion. And then you could show them how it connects to the blockchain by scanning, the NFC chip. And you can kind of, you know, the hoodie itself is almost a really powerful onboarding tool, not to mention everything else that's going on in the ecosystem. But at the most base level, the season 1 Air Forces, the space strips that have NFC in them, and the hoodies are an easy way for like someone to kind of get it, and they go, "Oh, okay, I see that." Right? Explaining NFTs and Web3 is part, but when you have physical items to kind of assist in it, yeah, it made it pretty easy, man.
Yeah, and I know Durs is waiting to jump in, but I just got to make that comment. When I was saying like I'm super pumped about what's coming, that's Compound just basically summed it up, right? I was talking about the gear earlier, but as these shoes and clothing and all that stuff gets out to us, each one of us honestly becomes a brand ambassador for Artifact. And if you have your own clothing, like and band, like I saw like the synonymous thing, and I was like, oh, what the hell is this? I would love that, right? Like we all start rocking the clothing. Then you have people who are not even into NFTs. Product that looks cool sells itself, right? So from a marketing standpoint, now your people have physical, tangible things that they can see and touch, and now you start, and then you meet the people, right? So like these events, I haven't been to one and I'm dying to go, but like then you meet the people and there's like cool people, real people, and you have like organic growth, and now you're onboarding people from that are not Web3, right? And so if we link back to Benoit's tweet, think beyond Web3. It's gonna take time to get to where we're going, but you're laying down the bricks, and I said it earlier, right? This is year one. Like this is the first year, and there's so much more ahead, and I feel like this project is so well set up for just long-term growth, and it takes time, right? So if you step out like, oh, Web3 has to be fast and all that stuff, and you come back to like, again, what I will call reality, it will take time. It takes time to build a brand, but I feel like they're doing it the right way, and all these little events are popping up all over the place, and people wanting to travel and go see what's going on and all these different things. Like that's how you build interest, and that's how you build a brand, and that's how you build a following that's dedicated to that. And the more people are interested and in love with their items and what they have, now you're really looking at yourself more as a collector and an ambassador, right? And you want to talk about your cool hoodie, or you want to talk about these Air Force Ones that like have some crazy design on them, or you want to talk about what Ann Ban, Rose Jade, and some of the other folks, not Compound, Bombay. Like I was looking at all the team members from Synonyme, but like you want to talk about, man, did you see that? Like I can't wait to get my hand on it. And then so I feel like it's all grown organically, and as these things starts hitting, and we all start connecting on a real level, like I think people will be blown away. But anyways, sorry I jumped in front of you. So I'm gonna let you get in now. You've been waiting for a while.
Thank you. God damn, how long does it take for someone to fucking get a turn up here? Jesus, I'm just kidding. Yeah, was there any I'm totally kidding. Love all you. Was there any like camera crews going around or anything like in the way of like, like PR pump kind of thing? Like I think it's just like it'd be sick to know that like other people, like I don't know, there's not like a lot of like buzz when it comes to like other people talking about this outside of our community. And so yeah, was there like anything coming from that direction that you guys noticed, like production or anything?
Is that referring to Utah?
Yes.
Yeah, so Cass and Snapback had their cameras out the majority of the time. I know they're working on like video edits and pictures, and I don't know. I don't remember seeing any crews or anything, but there were also a lot of There were like cameras and crews at the actual event, but they were filming the event as whole, like not just
Yeah.
Artifact, but Artifact specifically. Yeah, we have a few guys that brought their cameras, their setups, and are working on edits now.
Dope. Yeah, just like I feel like people will fucking catch more of the vibe. You know what I mean? Like from the outside, because people don't really like. I don't know. It's like kind of like not that it's a secret, you know what I mean, but it's like almost like gate capped or something. I don't know how to accurately describe it, I guess, but it's not. There's like more going on in this project than anywhere else. But like people talk about like other projects like doing dumb shit, and I just wish people like knew more about this, so it'd be like more highlighted.
Yeah, maybe what I'll see is it may feel that way, or it probably feels that way because it's Twitter, right? But I don't know how much, and I see a few different PFPs here, but I wonder if some of the other projects, whether, and maybe Ilan, if he wants to chime in, can, but like Azuki, is that something that, yeah, if you went to a store, random mall somewhere, like you hear people, like you would run into that, right? So I don't know that it's necessarily unique to CloneX. I feel like it's just the whole Web3 space in general right now is probably not beyond our walls. It's not quite there yet. But I will tell you from personal experience that, again, I was wearing my hoodie and I went to a bar here. I live in Minnesota, right? Random bar, and the bartender saw the hoodie and recognized it. And I was blown away because I'm like, how do you even know about Artifact but recognized it? My IT guy at work saw it and was asking about it without knowing what it was, but the interest was there. So again, I feel like it's a year, but it's probably like, it really feels like day one in the grand scheme of things. And it's these various events that we're putting together, and the clothing and all that stuff that will make it a little bit easier to spread the word. And yeah, it might not be like the stuff that's popping on Twitter this week or this month, but again, at least how I think about it, it's not about what's going on Twitter, so to speak. It's, will this brand over the next 5-10 years be here and grow to be like recognized on the world on on that global level? And I feel like Artifact has a pretty good chance at doing that. And Nike being behind them helps a ton. So
Yeah, Rome wasn't built in a day. Like it's these small building blocks that stack up over time that kind of make a brand recognizable, right? So we're doing like the NBA All-Star event, right? We're all walking downtown to the activations, and like this group of like 7 guys like stopped me and Dre and Ant Ben, and they recognized the hoodies, and we started like trading Twitters, and they're like telling us how like desperate they are to get clones. They're a part of Dot Swoosh, and they're kind of saving up and working towards clones, and like how bad they want to be in the ecosystem. But we traded Twitters, and they're like, "Oh, Dre Mill, oh shit, Compound, we." Like one of them already followed us, and like they know about clones, and there are people that recognize the brand and hoodies out there. And it's just it's building blocks, man. Like it doesn't all happen in a single year, right?
But like,
It
these are
is one of the
people
most.
like in the community. I'm just talking like, there's this big event going on, this big thing, this just super cool event. Like it should be like making waves. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, like I said, it's all building blocks, man. It's one small piece of a large puzzle that happens over multiple years, right? Brand recognition. You know what I mean? Like the brand recognition happens over time. It's not all instant. And I think Artifact is kind of leading in brand recognition, but among Web 2 people, right?
maybe the only other thing I would add to that is, in order for your brand to be recognized, you actually need product that's in front of people and tangible, right? And if you think about right now what's really out there for Artifact that people can see, it may feel like we have a ton, but the reality is we have virtually nothing. We have one hoodie. We have season 1 that's in the works right now. We have a super limited run of pigeon shoes and a few other things, like, but they're like, people are like collecting those. They're not actually wearing them and going out. And the amount that there is today is really not there, right? So if you circle back to Dot Swoosh and what that can do from a brand recognition standpoint, like, yeah, people get onboarded onto Dot Swoosh, like we're talking hundreds of millions of people, and then now within the Nike ecosystem, you start thinking about, okay, well, there's that swoosh stuff, and oh, there's Artifact the blade. How come some of these shoes have blades on them and some don't? Or you see somebody wearing Nike shoes and you see the blade, and it's like those are all conversation starters that I feel like, again, over the next few years, it all builds up to that, right? So what we're maybe all wanting today doesn't happen overnight. And I think as everybody calibrates to that and start realizing that, yeah, it will take time, but when it actually hits, it's going to be massive. And that's not me trying to pump anybody's bags. That's like just straight up conviction and understanding like how marketing and brands are built. Like,
Yeah, I just don't see how that's not really like the answer to like, you know, what I'm talking about either.
What
It's like,
what are you looking for?
I'm saying, like, is there like PR stuff like going in? Like, is there any like, you know, plan to like have people like see this thing that I mean, I wasn't part of it, but like this great thing that's been put together, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there were multiple cameras there, man. I think give them some
yeah.
time to edit some videos. We can
Oh, of
probably
course.
pump
Yeah,
the
no,
fuck.
that's, you
Yeah,
know,
we can pump the fuck out of the videos. I don't know if they're out today, but I'm sure. I already know Snapback is collecting film to make edits of his
yeah.
video, and Cass has a ton of like footage and photos
And
from
there's
the
not
week. So
like
just give them some edit time, dude, and I'm sure we can
yeah,
pump the fuck out of it, dude.
real quick, there's not it wasn't like an Artifact official event, so there's not going to be Artifact official photographers there. So again, this is one of the beauties of this is that the community comes up with the idea, puts it together. Artifact will help underwrite it to the extent that they deem necessary, should they deem necessary at all. But it seems like they've been more than favor. You know, they want to do this stuff. They do it this way for probably legal reasons, right? It's just if it's not an Artifact sponsored event, there's a lot less legal that has to go into it in terms of liability, etc. And so they're putting it to the community again to not only put the event on, but to do the publicity, which is cool, man. It like literally empowers the people that get to put out all that publicity instead of somebody else taking it. So Durs, I hear what you're saying, but I think that the more that we start to realize, okay, these community events are dope, they're going to be something to try to get to, you know, like when it's near your place or when you can, and it gives you an opportunity to come and show, you know, what you're good at. Whether if you're a photographer, bring your camera, you know. So, anyways, I hear what you're saying, and I think you're not. Hopefully, that better answers your question with the last few inputs there.
Yeah, no, like, you know, it's just like I was just asking, like, what was there kind of, you know what I mean? Like, was there like
Yeah,
not even like just necessarily like a film crew, or whatever, but there, like, everyone's just like, give it time, like, be patient about it. This doesn't happen in a day. I was like, I don't know. I wasn't like trying to be like
does that
impatient
make
about
more sense
anything.
about how it
Well,
was?
everybody just got back. Everybody just got back last night. They flew back last night, so I'm sure they're working on like film and editing. There
Yeah.
were film crews at the final party, which was it was the NBA All Star. Like it was one of the NBA All Star after parties. It was Artifact was one of the like main sponsors of it. So there were film crews there doing the whole event, and then we had our own internal like people with their cameras too. So I would just like I said, give them some time to edit, and then when they drop a video, like we could share the shit out of it, bro, which would be dope.
This interesting thing
Dope.
too, because like I feel like I was sitting there watching the Super Bowl, and I'm like, "Yo, let's see that Artifact ad," because we just got some random ass QR code that broke Twitter up on here, and it's like I was kind of thinking about that, and I was like, but like let's say we do this sick cinematic, right, and we show like the actual world what Artifact can do right now. It would be a dope cinematic, but then there really wouldn't be much more for anyone to dive deeper into at this point. So I think that all plays into why don't people know what this is yet. It's because uh, Artifact, I don't think Artifact's ready to show the world what this actually is yet, but I think those building blocks are coming. I think that's all in the works. I think they want to figure out this onboarding experience, this security experience, the anti-theft thing that Samuel's working on, the inventory that the team's working on. They got to get these physicals to people, get that linking verification thing going, start doing those quests. And once people see what the move to earn quests are actually rewarding other people with, what kind of collectibles are coming out of that, that's where I think we start to absolutely pimp this marketing experience. And that's what it's going to be too. It's going to be an experience. It's not going to be a single ad. It's going to be a different thing on another level. So I'm kind of looking at the community events as a way to reinforce the bonds that each of us are organically creating in these early years, these early months, this kind of interesting space in the macroeconomic environment that we all play within. Rose, welcome to the stage. What's on your mind?
Hey, so glad to join. I missed a couple of these, so it feels weird to not always be here. I was just going to share that, our Synnominy team with this particular CloneX Utah event, Aunt Ben flew out to be there in person, and we put a lot of effort in getting these clone renders ready. I mean, it's a special moment when, Chris had mentioned that there's going to be a projector. Please have, renders ready, and all that. And, just to have that chance to do it. Because if it was just only a community event, cool, but there's no showcasing. But this to me felt like a hybrid. And so just the ability to show a little bit of our work with among other, clone holders that are creators or even not, just all of us to be able to represent a little bit. I love this event because for event marketing, sometimes it's really just about influencing people that are there. But I'm so glad to know, like Compound mentioned, that there were camera crews there because with an event, you can use that content in so many different ways. So I hope they're going to go into post-production mode to piece together some things. But otherwise, just to know that clones were there outside where everybody was waiting was pretty crazy. It's such a wonderful chance. All all bullish signals for me. And like you said, Jack, hopefully it's starting up, right? Like there's more to come. But yeah, I love all kinds of tactics, like event marketing with celebrities, honestly, there. That's huge for just the Artifact brand. But also, I would say, just more importantly, for our CloneX community to know that they will put together something like this. My feedback for them, I think just all of us had mentioned, can there be a calendar of events and known things like this so that we can book travel and make it a priority to go? Because I wanted to go and I'm from California. Even the flights from California were pricey last minute. And I'm a planner. I was gonna go to meet up with Aunt Ben, but we didn't know if there's gonna be a showcase, and if it was just a hangout, I was gonna prioritize it a little differently. So just a little more planning would have been cool, just as a heads up.
Rose, do you work with art? Are you working with Artifact now, or did something change? I don't haven't been keeping up.
Oh no, I'm with the Synnominy team.
Oh, cool.
And Genesis, hit up that MGXS though. At least last I checked, it was true, Rose.
Rose is one of those people who's really talented, but also can use her talents at a max capacity. Sometimes you meet people that are really talented, but it takes away from their ability to get things done because they're so good at so many things that they just get distracted. But Rose is not one of those people. It's a pretty amazing to watch, and Rose, appreciate you always being around.
Oh, thank you. My night shift is my Web3 stuff. So
Yeah, I think the marketing machine will get revved up. And I think that, season one physicals, inventory, all of that's going to kind of combine into that move to earn, that digital drip, whatever it might be, across that, new frontier. I think all of that's happening in the next 6 months. And it hopefully, I have no source that has confirmed that. It's just the thoughts of the communications that we've had to this point make me think that we would have that stuff in the next 6 months, and that should set us up really well for this IRL interaction, because there is going to be a major IRL interaction later this year, and I think that's when we'll have the grand crackening, would be my hope, for the Animus eggs, because Animus is this complicated term I've been kind of reading the Wikipedia here in the background. The TLDR is in the sense of the Old English, in sense animus, from Latin. It means spirit or mind. So it is a deeply old word. I think it's Latin. I think animus is actually Latin for spirit or mind. That's coming right off the top page of Google. Didn't do a lot of research on that. However, this word dates back to 1800, maybe even later. So it's an ancient word, which is pretty cool because
1852.
is that what it says?
I just fucking made it up.
I hope it's within this year. That'll be great if we can get the season 1 stuff on the ground. But also, I wouldn't mind being able to have that inventory app so that we could potentially be distributors of it too, of what we bought.
I would love to be a distributor somewhere in that supply chain. That would be a way to make individual holders become independent contractors, which could eliminate so many
Right.
concerns from a corporate perspective.
Exactly. Yeah, I think that would create a whole new dynamic. And so when they do season 2, season 3, that could be something favorable for holders for sure.
Didn't.
So
Now we're going back to the OG, right, Cook?
That's what we meant to be, Baron.
Oh,
that's the
be a
whole
reptile
point
dealer
of the night.
I want to
You
be
are
a reptile dealer.
Heavy gonna hit you up. Be careful what you say. But yeah, I mean that's what we're here for, everyone. It is, to think about the things and to talk about the things that we think about where this ecosystem could traject itself to, where we can go as a community. So I love it. I hope that's the case, Danette. I really, really do.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I think it just needs to inject a little more life into all the different projects we have going on here and just this one ecosystem. But I think this is maybe controversial, but what you guys were talking about earlier about getting the name out there and branding and all that, that's true and definitely needs to happen. But I personally think the dot swoosh thing came around and it's fine, but it definitely adds another challenge to the artifact ecosystem because they dot swoosh. I mean, just even swoosh, you don't even need to say Nike. People know that swoosh sort of is equivalent to Nike, and so they don't even need to say Nike. But of course they're like hand in hand, so they're the leg up, even though they're newer, brand new, as far as brand awareness, and artifact isn't as available as that it is to us, but the wider community not yet.
But like Compound was saying, like running into those people in Utah that knew about Artifact because of dot swoosh, like that is real. That's real. And
was it because of dot swoosh, or was it just artifact stuff?
Yep, they had artifact stuff on, and like a group of 5 guys stopped a group of him and I think he said Dre, or maybe it was Snap, but they said got introduced to dot swoosh. That's how they came across Artifact, and like they're saving up for clones.
Yeah, I was actually there, Baron. It was with it was me, Dre, Compound, and yeah, we were rocking our Artifact hoodies. We're walking by these guys, and they're like, "Oh shit, Artifact!" Right? And they were all dot swoosh people, and I've been saying this from the beginning, like dot swoosh is onboarding people, and then eventually they're going to realize, because most of them are sneaker junkies, and sneaker junkies look for grails, and eventually the grails are going to be clones, plain and simple. That's just the nature of the way a sneaker person is. They're always and Baron, I mean, like, you want to wear some shit that nobody else has, and leading into getting into dot swoosh, understanding the value of digital collectibles, which is what they're calling it. Everybody, the NFTs are a bad word. But getting into that and then saying, okay, what am I looking for here, right? What's the high end version of dot swoosh stuff? And eventually it's all going to land in Artifact, right? And so the fact that those guys were like, oh, I can't wait, I'm saving up for a clone, right? Just like some random dudes on the street. And for
Yeah.
me, that was just like, okay, cool. Like everybody's looking to eventually get clones because that's the grail asset for the ecosystem. It's just Artifact is way ahead of the curve, in my opinion. Obviously, I'm biased, but um, it's just the sneaker culture is why I'm so bullish on this community, because I've been in the sneaker community for 20 years and I just understand how they operate. And Artifact, the clones are going to be grails, and that's what everybody's trying to get right now. Because there's a lot of people who are late, right? Um, we were just super early, and now we have to wait for everybody to kind of catch up. But we were hanging out with Chris Clegg, and I mean he was just so like bullish on what they're working on. And he's just like, just big things are going to happen, and patience is required for that, right? And some people don't have it, and that's okay. But just having conversations with him about um, somebody who's like a founder or something, and as excited as he is when he was talking about it, it's like that's when this guy doesn't care about anything but creating the dopest shit available around, and all he cares about is making sure that they're working on the best, the dopest, most innovative stuff in the space, plain and simple. And that kind of behavior, the fact that he's excited like a little kid about it, is why I'm like, this dude is so pumped and so geeked and loves talking about it in a way where it's like, dude, I'm super bullish on this project because the guy's extremely talented, somebody that I look up to as a creator myself, right? And yeah, dude, I just feel like everybody says it, but like just seeing what was going on in Utah this weekend, I was just like, it kind of reinvigorated my bullish, right? Like sometimes you kind of like, you question things or whatever, and you need to experience this stuff in real life to be able to say, you know what? It's taking longer than most people want, but it's like, you kind of got to just wait and be around for it because everything takes so long to do. Like, you know,
Yeah, it depends what it is. I mean, I hear you. I've been around with artifacts specifically for 2 years. So, and I feel like they were moving faster before Nike. Not that Nike's a bad thing. It's just that because of all the extra legal and stuff like that, it definitely hampers their speed, which they sort of have to do what they have to do. But so those that have been around, I think, got a little impatient because of the speed that we saw things previously, and also being just Web3 native. Just sort of we're used to fast pace, and when the Web2 gets mixed in, they have to follow different
right.
rules, and so yeah, it yeah, I still see Web2 and Web3 as oil and water. I know that a couple of people are like, no, it mixes, and or 2.5 or whatever. I'm like, yeah, no, sorry. I mean, I'm here, I'm still here, but I don't
I just
know.
feel like
We got it. Oh,
no,
go
I was gonna
ahead.
say you're right. And about the Nike thing, like you're right. He even mentioned, it's you got to be careful. Obviously, you're dealing with a big corporation, so yeah, like um, they have to worry about the legal side, and just there's so many variables, right? But it's I hear what you're saying. And you think about the speed of like during like bull market, like there was so much going on. It was so fast and so crazy, which is not sustainable, right? Like that's why a lot of times things just blow up or just die a natural death in Web3. It's because you were doing so much and you were trying to just pump and drop things and all this stuff. And it's like, dude, that's not sustainable practice in any industry, Web 2, Web 12. It doesn't matter, right? Like you're never going to be able to sustain that kind of those schedules are insane. Like it was crazy. Like we were all, it was fun, it was great, but it was just like, dude, if you want some long-term thing like that's well built out, it takes time, and some people just don't have the time for it, and that's fine. But just understand, like some of the guys in some of these sneaker stores that I was at in Utah, where they're like, oh, we can't wait, we're dying to get some clones. And I'm like, there's tons of people that are trying to save money up to get these things. And sometimes I feel like some of the people that are in the ecosystem are not grateful for for the opportunities and the fact that they have assets that people are dying to get, right? And eventually I think they will get, right? And so eventually the price will go up, which personally I don't care about, but I know some people do, right? And so I'm using these assets to build something, and not everybody is, and so there's just there's different avenues that people are taking um, to jump into the ecosystem. This weekend for me was just like extremely bullish. I just saw so many people excited about like being taught, and you got people like, this is a small little sample size of like the macro community where everybody's just so dope and like talented or nice for the most part, right? And they're talking to random strangers about Artifact all day long. And it's like eventually it's just going to continue to spread, right? Like, I don't know. It was an extremely bullish weekend for me. It reinvigorated like how bullish I am on the project. I already was, but like just seeing everybody else outside of the community who have no idea what we're talking about, just excited about it. And outside of Shaq's that after party, like it said Artifact huge outside, and people were like Googling what even the Artifact was. They didn't even know how to say it. And so like, I don't know. It was so much that it was just so much that I was just like, okay, this is a very small sample size of it. If it's happening all across the world, like eventually it's going to catch on, right? If there's a bear market, if there's, bull market comes in, as more people get onboarded onto Dot Swoosh, they're going to understand, the value of digital collectibles, and the grails are clones, in my opinion. So just wanted to mention that.
What's really cool too, like as you talk about it, is you start to get an idea of where these community events should be held and where we should be spending our time. It's like, it was vibing in Utah, and I don't know. I think Utah is a great place. I think that whether you're having an event there or not, I think people are just kind of into this area of exploring, and like they've got an open mind about things. And so, you got an area of the country, but you also got sports events, other, any finals, or, you want to be at those parties and try to set up events for those things, which makes sense. But clearly the experience was really good. And so it's like, now we can focus our efforts there. So trial and error is a beautiful thing. I would also, one of the things that I'm starting to like wonder is, are people becoming more okay with a longer timeline? Are they becoming, not just in Artifact, but like in Web3? Are people realizing that we've grown to a mature state, and because of that, things will take longer? And are they looking at projects and saying, well, they have a bigger corporate structure and they're bigger, so that's going to take longer, i.e. Nike and Artifact's relationship, which would help us going forward. So, Danette, you spend a lot of time in the space. I guess I would, if you don't mind, direct it to you.
Yeah, the time frames are definitely allowable, like longer time frames. I'm in like Wolf Game and a couple of things that we had to hold our assets for like over a year because they were building the game out. But the thing that was there, they kept us informed, and it's 100% Web3, so we were actually sort of involved in it more thoroughly. This is where I say Web2 is sort of a hindrance. Is like there's this sort of wall of information we can't get past. Like we can't get the information we need sometimes with Web2 because legal stuff. And whereas Web3, you're a little more a part of the team. The community has to be right in Web3 for it to be to hold on. They know that. and so we stayed involved the whole time. So I think the allowance of that 1 year, slightly more than a year, was, yeah, people weren't crazy about it, but they knew and they understood, and because we were more involved in it, we had more patience. And with Artifact, like their thing, we're told that it's all going to make sense in the day, but it's hard to see it from here, and there's certain things we don't know yet about certain drops, and think new drops come out, we're like, well, what is this going to do, and when's this going to do it, and there's just these question marks. And so that as you guys probably know, a lot of the OGs, a lot of the diamond hands that have been around from the early days of Artifact have sold a lot of their assets. And I guarantee they probably didn't really want to do that. They probably held this long because they believed in it, and as many of us do. But at a certain point, if you don't have the information, then you have to make a financial decision. And when you're having that much money in a project, I mean, I'm in a lot of projects. Artifact is one of my biggest ones, asset holdings, and I have to make smart financial decisions at a certain point. You have to pull away from your heart. You could sit there, but then financially, you also have to be smart about it too. So I don't know if that answered it. Sorry, Baron, but yeah, the time frames.
I was getting it.
Yeah.
I didn't know if anybody else was going to. I think it's a great perspective, and I hear you. I mean, it's an opportunity cost of the dollars invested, over a period of time. It's like, where else could this money be? But yeah, anybody else that wants to weigh in, I'm just interested.
Yeah, actually, I was just kind of curious, and this is more of a question, because obviously I think there's different perspective, right? I think if you're approaching it as quote unquote like an investment, and you're putting money in, or you're buying X amount of clones with the intent that clone itself over time gains value, and ideally you don't want to wait 5 years, right? Because you want that investment to return, so as have quicker return time frame. So I feel like people who are approaching it from that standpoint, I can totally see how you would lose patience. I want to believe that people who are truly in it for either utilizing the asset as a building block for their own brand or own business, or people who are collecting with the mindset that, hey, this gives me exclusive access to items that most people are not going to have, right? Like we're talking like a very small supply. I would put myself in that camp. I don't necessarily want Artifact to rush it, and actually, I like that they're taking a step back from their crazy pace that they had last year, and really focusing on how are they, and maybe like some of the stuff that we say it's not super Web3, but that they're focused on the legal stuff, so that when it does hit, like we don't get sued, or they don't get sued. I'm not gonna get sued. They will. They don't get sued, and then the whole thing comes crashing down, right? So that's kind of what I look at. But I fully understand and respect like your point of view, Danette, and like the whole Web3 ethos, and like, hey, being able to peek behind the curtain, and being part of it. The only thing I will say to that, to some extent, and this is me coming from the corporate world, is when you have too many cooks in the kitchen, I feel like then you are less cohesive. And again, I'm not Web3 native. This is just me being in Web2, again, in a position that allows me to be behind a curtain and hear feedback from people that I work with and report through me. And everybody has an opinion. Everybody want to provide feedback and all that stuff. And everybody feel they want to be heard. But at the end of the day, if you listen to every single person and try to incorporate everything that everybody wants, then you can't get anything done. But there's a fine balance, and I think that's, in my mind, that's the big difference between where Web3 is potentially going versus what we had before, is more of that interaction between the collector, consumer, and the brand that they're participating in, which I think is cool, and I think that needs to be protected.
Yeah,
So
I agree. Protection's important, but and I don't know that we have it yet in Web3 because we don't do the whole like legality thing. But I personally believe that there will come a time when the Web3 space can sort of self-enforce, but it'll have to be backed by some sort of technology that allows for that, just like blockchain allows for us to see everything, right? So that has allowed us ways to sort of see what's going on that we didn't have access to before. And so moving forward, now the whole space and anyone who works on a blockchain, everyone's building it out. We're sort of building this plane as we're flying it, and we're not even close to the destination yet. It's not going to look anything like this. This is like early dial-up, compared to what we have now on the internet. This is especially with chat GPT coming out and all this AI stuff coming out. We have no clue what this is going to look like in a year, much less 5 years or 10. So I know that there's more to come, but my personal view is that Web2 is fine. It does what it does well. It definitely, because it has leaders and clear leadership and clear rules, it can move pretty fast in that regard, as far as where their goals are going, and they can be very efficient at it. There's a different kind of speed in Web3 in that you've got millions of minds as opposed to maybe 1,000 minds. You've got millions of eyes looking on something, and just look at it like open source software, right? You've got a lot of people contributing ideas. Not every idea makes it, but the best ones hopefully do, and you have more opportunity. So we're just so new at this, and it's definitely going to change. And I think Artifact's on the right track, and I always have felt that way. I felt just lately, just the whole Web2 thing, and this is just my personal opinion of Web2 in general, it's just a little bit of a heavier weight to carry, in getting where you want to go. So
Danette, I'll go ahead.
All right. Danette, I really appreciate your point of view too, specifically your point of view. Not that I don't appreciate other people, but I always appreciate yours, because you come from such almost a purist of Web3's perspective. And I think that that's needed in a space to balance out just the different types of people in an ecosystem, because honestly, there's so many different vastly unique individuals that come into this space, all with our own reasons. And I think it's so critical that we have the discussions, because that's really how we can get to impactful places as a community. Tevi, I know you wanted to respond back, so maybe you hit it, and then I want to throw it to Ilan, because he also jumped on the stage relatively recently, and I'm guessing he has something on the topic.
Yeah, no, I was actually just going to thank Danette for her point of view, because I again, my background is personally in Web2, and I tend to be more risk averse, right? And I want to cross all my T's and dot all my I's, and I want to make sure that, if I'm putting money into anything, right? And because again, these are not cheap assets. Even, we don't talk floor, but even where we are currently, this is still expensive, right? To some extent for a lot of people. So, so I actually like all the guardrails, but I agree sometimes it can be a hindrance. What I always try to go back to make this short, so Ilan can get in, is the hindrance that we're seeing today. I do believe longer term will be what puts this project ahead of many others long term. But you have to get from point A to point B, and sometimes that journey from point A to point B can feel like an eternity. And so I think that's where like all the different perspectives are really helpful, and even understanding like why people who are Web3 natives really care about certain things and why it matters, right? And so that we can ultimately carry that on forward to wherever it is that we're going, so that it is what we get tomorrow is better than what is here today. So again, appreciate your point of view, and it's always a joy to listen to.
thank you guys. Yeah, I appreciate that. Appreciate your feedback as well, for sure.
Yes. Ilan, what up? Welcome. What's on your mind tonight?
Thanks, man. I've been listening for quite a while, and it's been a really, really good, engaging conversation. going a lot of different places, and with the golden thread of everybody opining on where this thing is going and how much they love it, and I think that's really good for the community to hear. First and foremost, I think that you come on vibe spaces like this, and the golden thread is Clonespiracy, and everyone's in here with a pretty clear topic, and they sort of weave it all around these different places, and it's fun. It's really fun to listen to. I've enjoyed it, but I also love as well what Danette was saying about Web3. I feel like my my other major project is very Web3 hard and going in. As trying to be that pure Web3 player, I think that it really comes down to foundation building, and I think when Artifact sort of came out of the gate, they played sort of the run and gun game, right? Like it was, and a lot of projects do that, and they do that with varying success. But Artifact did it with just a massive amount of success. I think a lot of the news flow also helped in that respect, because you hear about the big acquisition, and every that excites everyone. The hype train even gets bigger and goes faster, and I think that particularly the fact that they are situate in the U.S., they're a subsidiary of a multinational corporation. You have to sort of put that on pause. And what better time to do it than, now? Essentially, everything that's happened leading up to this point, everything that's happening external to Artifact, and DC in particular, but the banking sort of regulatory schemes beginning to sort of make itself known in the space with who they're going after and how they're going after them, is key. And I think that that run and gun's not going to work anymore, and they're really you have to sort of read into it, but they're in this position where they see the future, and they have pledged to take us there, and that's why we're here. Now, the future isn't now. It isn't like a month from now. It isn't even a year from now. The future is always the future, and that's the world we want to live in, right? Like I think that's super super rad. So I am above and beyond anything else giving them the benefit of the doubt at the moment, and it makes it so much easier to do that whenever I have people like Jack and Compound and all of you that I can hear from and talk to and bond with, and glean some really sick nuggets of information that really help me understand Artifact and why I'm here and what I want out of it. And so yeah, I mean, that's like the personal growth aspect that comes with being connected to other humans that are living their own experience, unique human experience. So yeah, I love it all, man. And I love this conversation. And like I said, I want to give Artifact every benefit of the doubt. And what happened in, Utah needs to be put on blast ASAP. I saw the sort of quick edit of everything that sort of went down. And I thought, that was super rad. And that's what times of foundation building necessitate, especially when you have a community like this, is to, forge those bonds of relationship and community with one another, and like let Artifact cook, and then they'll give us the next thing that we need to take the next step to be a little bit further into the future.
loved the take about, the future is constantly happening. It's not right now. It's still the future. Like, the future is always this thing that we are working towards, and that the key point here is that Artifact pledged to bring us to the future, which is how they're gonna go about building it. It's gonna take some time, and I think one of the reasons that a lot of us are still at least engaged and interested in this ecosystem is that we believe that Artifact will be here in the future, and we believe that Artifact will build this future that we all talk about and we're all engaged within. So I appreciated the point, Ellen. I also find it awesome that, different people in different spaces across different projects, or really just in their own individual lives, like, we all connect with different people throughout an ecosystem, and whoever it is, as long as you have people that you connect with, I think it's important and it's helpful for that ecosystem to grow in its own unique and organic way. I want to throw it to Vincent, because I saw he joined up on the stage, and then Hemi just hit that young request button. What up, Vincent?
Sup? How's everyone?
Good.
Yeah.
How are you, Vincent?
Sup?
I'm good. I joined late, so I don't know what was covered, but yeah, obviously had a lot of fun in Utah. Yeah, it was great. I honestly think, if you're a part of this community, really any community, it'd be really cool to connect with your sort of geographical faction and meet some people. Obviously, Utah is really cool. Anya, Cass, Chris was there, so it's obviously nice to kind of see, be a part of like an area where some of the team is. You can talk to them, and perspective is really is super valuable. And I think that's kind of an interesting takeaway I got from when I was there. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I think people had a lot of fun, and I definitely urge my Clonespiracy is that everyone should link up with people physically, right? It was really cool to put faces to names, and yeah, I just chatted up with people. There were even a few people who kind of had clones, right, that I didn't even know about, right, in the Utah chat. That was really cool to see, and that had not like too crazy Artifact, like a lot of crossover with Suzuki, but it's just overall a great vibe. So I definitely urge people to try and organize. Sorry, I was gonna call. Organize and just kind of meet up with others, whether it's Artifact or even like any other community. So that stuff is really important.
Yeah, I got to meet Vince IRL. Dude, I thought he was coming from Park City. It turns out he was coming all the way from Salt Lake City, dude. I was so confused when you were giving me those times.
Oh yeah.
And then when I told the valet, I was like, yeah, I just got to drive him down to Park City. He must have shit when he realized he was taking you all the way to Salt Lake.
Yeah, it was an awkward conversation.
Dude, I had no idea.
He was pretty pissed.
My god, that was funny. I thought you guys were staying in Park City. Dude, that was so cool.
No, man, no. We were all the way in Salt Lake. Granted, it was probably like the closest, the furthest away part of Salt Lake that's closest to Park City, but yeah, no, we were in SLC.
Oh, that's funny. Well, it made sense once I saw all the events you guys were going to, but that's fun. Yeah, it was cool. I mean, just to meet Vince and connect with him, and I've done the same thing with Cooking and some other people, and obviously, so smaller meetups lead to bigger meetups is what I'm finding, and we preached a lot of what you were just saying, Vince, and I appreciate you coming in here and sharing like those vibes, and it's not like on a like FOMO basis. It's like this is what happens when clones get together IRL.
Dude,
it's like it's always fun.
That board that James Hustle made, oh my god, that was just crazy. I don't know if we have it pinned. Oh, I'll pin it if I can as a speaker. But oh my gosh, I mean, you guys, this is some alpha right here, right? Like, I just posted it when he brought it, when he brought it to the table, right? When he brought it to the table, obviously we were going crazy because he was so cool, right? Had all the clones on there, 216 clones, something like that, and we started going crazy. And this was at the ski resort, and then a bunch of other people were on the table, like, "Oh, what? Like, what's going on, right?" And Compound and a couple other people were like kind of red pilling them onto like what all this is and stuff. And I think a few of them kind of converted to like follow, I guess, the Twitters and things like that. But yeah, this board was absolutely insane to see because he really killed it on that. And I think, that's obviously, really cool. And another sort of thing about, this community is just how creative people get and how passionate, I guess, people are with these things. And it's obviously not just, CloneX. It's, really every community I could see insert, large community here, and they could probably do the same thing. But it's really cool to see that. And then a reaction like when we saw, because we didn't know. He just kind of, I talked to him. He's like, yeah, I did it. I wasn't really too sure. Like, I didn't post it on Twitter before. But yeah, it was really something else to see that. And that was probably one of like a top moment for me to see. And James is a really cool guy. So yeah, I would definitely urge you guys to check that out and give James a follow.
A good thing is, Jack, is that Kaiba made the board, and so we don't have to listen to him complain about how he doesn't get the love.
Kaiba,
you know what I mean?
Kaiba made the board.
Kaiba did not make that board, Baron.
Yeah, he is. His MK is right beneath the foot.
He's on the board. Yeah, I saw that, and I was
he's
like,
on the board. That's what happens when you got a cool clone.
Dude, he didn't need that ego boost.
Thank God he got on there, though. We had to hear about that forever. Like,
seriously.
Jack would be hearing about it at Easter.
Yeah,
I was going to go through every holiday, but then I forgot.
Yeah, I'm on the board too, guys. Mine just unfortunately was covered by the blade. So yeah, that's I'm there too.
I think his binding was on mine, Vincent. I don't know if you got to look under that right boot.
Oh right, yeah.
I think that was me.
No, I saw
I'm
yours
under
with the bunny. The girl it was the girl. Yeah, she's there.
I'm not on there. It's cool though. But you know what stands out is those clones with those big googly eyes, and I've been talking about it for a long time. I love those freaking clones.
Yeah.
You mean the Murakami ones?
Which the scared eyes.
I'm trying to think which one you're talking about.
They're like the big googly eyes. They look like they were pulled out of a cartoon character and just stuck into a clone's face.
Oh, yeah. I know what you're talking about. Those are funny. Yeah.
Love that.
There's a Lime Gang clone that has those eyes, and it's one of the funniest clones.
He's
in my
so
opinion.
Geeked.
It's so just geeked.
You guys partied too hard in Utah.
For sure, dude. For sure did. That first day of boarding, I was destroyed. Really, really bad. Just all around and on every vertical, physically, mentally, spiritually. It was just, oh my God.
Dude, did anyone bring one of those Theraguns? The like massage gun things? Because those things are lifesavers after a long day on the hill.
Not that I know of. I don't have one, but I'll take your word for it on that.
It's so true, dude. Whenever I got off mountain in Breck, last time I was up there, we had a couple of them, and they're so clutch, dude. For sure, clutch. Even if you have with the like little mobile one, it's so super clutch.
Dylan, you got to get the Theragun roller. Change your life.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. If you like that little gun, that roller will just change your whole life, especially if you got any back issues.
Man, you can tell the like 30-ish plus dudes up in this motherfucker, right?
Yeah, I got a cushion to recommend for you too.
Yo, I'll take both, Baron. Newly 30 here, need to start all of the technology youthfully. Yeah, but one Theragun, 8 dudes in a cabin. Bring multiple is what I would say. On that note, I'm probably going to close the space down here within the next 5 minutes, if not sooner. Kind of wanted to hard rug, but figured that might be a little bit brutal. So didn't want to just end it on a note with one Theragun and 10 dudes in one cabin. Or maybe I did. I don't know.
Your last hard rug was hilarious.
What was the last one, Danette?
I don't know. It was like a couple weeks ago. I was just laughing. I don't know.
It's like I want to.
Someone was talking, and you're like rug. Like okay.
Sometimes you just got to do it, for the culture. But I like to give at least a little bit of a heads up, and most people who come here or who have listened to one in the past, they know that 2-hour mark. It's kind of a you never really know what's going to happen after that point.
Jem just starts calling.
It's about to
happen.
Sending
him sultry pictures.
It's usually when he starts like going on a long rant or like with no pause that it's coming, or he might just rug now that I'm talking. So I don't know.
Yeah, you're gonna get right.
I tried to say something about Jem and trigger a rug, but it didn't work.
You guys are great.
The vibes are back.
No, I do appreciate, I appreciate everyone who comes, listens, participates, all of it. Like we took the last week off because life, and like I appreciate that we can re-pick it up, we can keep rolling, we can keep going, because like that's what it's going to take, everyone. It's going to take a lot of vibes for the next however many countless months that we don't know what's going on. It's going to take the community to really band together in whatever way, shape, or form you want to, and you're encouraged to, and you feel like you should, or you feel like you want to, or you get the feeling of being active into this community, whatever it is for you, why ever you're here, if you're figuring it out as well, like continue to engage with other people in the circles that you engage within to try and figure out why everyone's here. And then if you're all sitting in a room with 10 dudes and one Theragun, you'll figure out why you're all there real quick.
On the pre-reveal, so it's been a while, been a long time.
Yo, Dre Soul capitulated real quick on his Kid Called Beast, and he was like the best shiller I've ever heard of on Kid Called Beast.
I had the buyback at 0.6 or just under 0.6, but I know what a Kid Called Beast went to. I know what Checks went to, and I know how OPEPEs are in this space. I just know they go into 2E, but I could get wrecked. Let's see, Millie, this one's for you.
Hold it down.